Mr. Malone, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon and welcome to the monthly meeting of Wicomico County Board of Education. Call the meeting to order. Today's meeting is being held as a virtual meeting and recorded. The video will be available for viewing after the meeting at WCBOE.org. All those connecting today's meeting have been muted. Only board members and executive staff are able to speak. Individuals who pre-registered to provide public comments will be prompted and unmuted when it is their turn during the public comments agenda item. This is a Board of Education meeting that's open to the public for viewing only, with the exception of public comments, which the public gave by pre-registration. Any distractions that disrupt the focus of the meeting will not be tolerated, and those persons engaged in such distractions shall be removed from the meeting. As is our custom, we begin our meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. And today will be led by Board Vice Chairman, Mr. Michael Murray. Mr. Murray, the floor is yours.
He may have dropped off. I don't see him up there.
Okay. Then I'll lead the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. 3.2, approval of the agenda for this open session meeting. We've had the agenda out for some time. I assume you had time to review it. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Move to approve the agenda.
And I hear there was a second.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, it's carried. At this point in the meeting, annually, we reorganize the board and
Mr. Chair,
yes, sir.
we need to verify all of our members are present before we do this.
Oh, the members of the board?
Yeah, we couldn't find Mr. Murray a second.
Okay, very good point. Okay, I'm here. Mr. Fitzgerald, are you here? He's here. Mr. Brown, I see.
Here.
Mr. Laird Lewis, I see, but stay here.
Here.
Mr. Palmer,
I'm here.
he's there. Ms. Sithowski,
Present.
Mr. Murray,
Mr. Malone, he is,
Yeah.
appears he's rejoined the meeting. You just let him in from the waiting room.
okay.
Can you give us a sound check?
Are you asking me or Mr. Murray?
We're asking Mr. Murray for a sound check. Can you verify his microphone is not muted?
I hear
Yes.
you. Okay, back to 3.3. As we do annually, I'll turn it over to Dr. Hanlon to run this portion of the meeting, the reorganization of the board.
Good
Dr. Hanlon.
afternoon, Mr. Malone and members of the board. It's my pleasure to facilitate this process today. And the Board of Education will now accept nominations for the position of chairman of the Wicomico County Board of Education. Okay, thank you, Mr. Fitzgerald. Mr. Malone has been nominated as chairman. Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? Okay, hearing no other nominations, congratulations, Mr. Malone, Mr. Chairman Malone.
Still need
you.
to take a vote. Still need to take a vote.
Okay, I had referred to Robert's rules and didn't see that. All right, so I'm going to need to do a roll call because I cannot see all of you. So I will go down and ask for you to indicate aye or nay in your nomination of Mr. Malone. So I will start with Mrs. Sithowski.
Aye.
Mr. Palmer.
Aye.
Mrs. Laird Lewis.
Aye.
Mr. Fitzgerald. Mr. Brown.
Aye.
Mr. Murray.
Aye.
Mr. Malone.
Aye,
Congratulations, Chairman Malone.
thank you.
Mhm. The Board of Education will now accept nominations for the position of Vice Chair of the Wicomico County Board of Education.
I nominate Mike Murray.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Brown. Mr. Murray has been nominated. Are there any other nominations?
I nominate Ms. Tanya Lewis.
Okay, Laird Lewis has been nominated for vice chair. Are there any other nominations? Okay, we will take these one at a time. So we will first, in the order that they were nominated, we will first consider Mr. Murray's nomination. I'll go through again and ask for a roll call. And you are again voting aye or nay in favor of Mr. Murray or opposed to Mr. Murray. Mrs. Safowski,
Nay.
Mr. Palmer,
Nay.
Mrs. Laird Lewis,
Nay.
Mr. Fitzgerald. Aye. Okay. Mr. Brown,
Aye.
Mr. Murray,
Aye.
Mr. Malone.
Aye.
Okay. So the motion for Mr. Murray passes with 4 votes. Congratulations, Mr. Murray, on your reappointment as Vice Chair of the Board of Education.
Thank you.
I'll turn it back to you, Mr. Malone.
Okay, thank you. 3.4, a moment of silence. In the past 30 days since our last meeting, we lost some colleagues and former colleagues with the Board of Education. Clara Mae Thomas Harris. She worked at several locations, including Salisbury Elementary, North Salisbury Elementary, Pinehurst Elementary, and at Prince Street Elementary, 30 years with the Board of Education. Donald Joe Kohler, he worked at Bennett Junior High, Wicomico Senior High, and Central Office, 40 years. And Bill R. Hensley, who worked at Wyke Junior and Senior High Schools, as well as James and Bennett High School, 30 years. So if we could just take a few moments and recognize their service and honor them with a moment of silence. Thank you. Okay, 3.5, recognition of students for designing the 2021 holiday cards. So to turn this over to, is it Dr. Hanlon or Dr. Bear or both?
Dr. Hanlon.
Okay.
So it's obviously that time of year. We all know that, Christmas time. And I'm very pleased to present to you, as you can see on the screen, our Christmas cards that have been designed by our own students in art classes this year. And I believe that we have these students with us today, but I would like to recognize them. I know Mrs. Saylor visited with them this morning in their schools and provided them with a stack of their own cards. And we just thank you for your creativity and your willingness to design our Christmas cards this year. So first we have the Christmas card from Parkside. Our student is Layana Jones. Congratulations, Layana. Beautiful design. I don't think the picture does it as much justice as what I'm looking at here in my hands, but a beautiful design of a snowman. Thank you, Layana, from Parkside. She is a VPA student. From James M. Bennett, we have Emily Campo, excuse me, also from the VPA program. Again, another beautiful, beautiful design. From Ardella, also in the VPA program, Jacob Ricos. Thank you, Jacob. Again, a beautiful, beautiful Christmas card. Makes you want to curl up by the fire. And then finally from Wicomico High School, Mirab Mahmoud. Congratulations, Mirab, and thank you so much for your beautiful photograph. So once again, each of our students were visited this morning, and we appreciate your willingness to design these cards for us so that we can spread our holiday wishes to the community and other school systems this year. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hanlon. Congratulations to all those students. Beautiful cards. Absolutely gorgeous. Thank you for taking the time to design them. So 3.6, student representatives to the board reports. We'll start with James and Bennett High School with Gianfranco Secondi in place for, he's in place of Hannah Kim. Gianfranco, are you with us?
Yes, I am. Thank you, Mr. Merlin.
You're welcome.
Thank you for having me here, Board of Education members. Like Mr. Malone said, I'm here in place of our president, Hannah Kim, since I am the vice president of the executive board of JMB. I'll start with how JMB is doing academically. First term GPAs are seen to be increasing compared to last year's first term GPAs, though there are some concerns that some students are missing school, which could be related to COVID or simply choose not to attend. As JMB is looking to finish the first semester in a few weeks, we will be preparing for state testing in January. In terms of the school safety controversy that JMB has been suffering in the last couple of weeks, the SJ plans to work with Ms. Savage to see how we can prepare students for any school safety concerns. We're also planning to prevent students from causing school safety concerns, especially with the rise of the social media accounts related to JMB. On better news and more brighter news, for sports, JMB soccer team did win their state's tournament, and they were recognized for their efforts in their parade. As a result, JMB will be fundraising for their state championship rings. We have wrapped up all the fall sports, everything's done, and we're moving on to winter sports now. So we will be keeping in mind of all the COVID restrictions and COVID safety rules, keeping in mind limited capacity and enforcing the usage of masks as always. Moving on to clubs and honor societies, compared to last year, club activity has been increasing with a gradual increase of students returning. Honor societies are continuing to grow in their members. Some of the more notable achievements is that Leo Club built a ramp in partnership with the Chesapeake Housing Mission for individuals that could not walk very well, and are preparing to lay reefs in the Reefs Across America trip. The Environmental Club is recycling during lunchtime. On the other hand, honor societies such as National Honor Society contribute to the community as well by hosting a pajama drive and writing letters to residents of retirement homes. Moving on to our final topic, the school events. JMB is currently hosting its Spirit Week, and it's been perhaps one of the more successful ones we had this year, with more and more of our students participating in it more than ever before. It's in a month, and students who participate in the Spirit Week will be given the reward or opportunity to go to the winter concert held by the JMB band, as well as the parents of the band members. Everyone else will have to see it on live due to COVID safety concerns. As we near the start of the winter break, SJ continues to plan for events in the future, such as fundraisers and other school spirit-related activities. For example, sophomores will be hosting their spaghetti dinner soon, and executive board plans to have some sort of field day in the spring, since we can't do pep rallies anymore, again due to COVID restrictions. Rock and Roll continues to hold practices and plans for the performances that will be coming soon. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much, Gianfranco.
Yep.
Parkside High School, Cassidy Cashman. Cassidy, are you with us?
I see Cassidy, and it looked like she was attempting to talk.
Okay. Is she muted?
She's not muted, so I'm not sure what's going on.
Okay, well, we can come back to her if you want. Let's do that. Give her an opportunity to get on. So we'll go to Wicomico High School, Ava Batista. Is Ava available? You see her?
Yes.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ava Bautista, and I'm pleased to have your attention at today's meeting to share some of Y-High's latest events and achievements. On November 11th, the JROTC's Honor Guard supported the Veterans Day ceremony at the Civic Center. They marched to and from to lower the flags to half-mast to honor our veterans. That very same Thursday, Salisbury University visited our campus media center to do on-site admissions. Congratulations to the 26 students who were accepted. Another congratulations to Y High's varsity football, who made it to the second round of playoffs. We had a very successful season that had an overall record of 9-2. We hope that they pass on their success to the winter sports teams who have just recently begun their season. Our varsity boys basketball team beat North Dorchester 97-61, Parkside 61-51, and Snow Hill just last night by 25 points. Our varsity girls basketball also won their first game at North Dorchester 79-6. Switching gears, our music department will be having their winter concert this Thursday. Our symphonic band also participated in the Wicomico and Salisbury parades. Not only will our orchestra, symphonic band, and choir be performing, but we are also holding our Music Honor Society induction ceremony. All ensembles will also play a collective piece that is a medley of our favorite holiday songs. Our SGA has also stayed busy during the holiday season. Right before Thanksgiving break, almost 50 students, staff, and members of the community who are in a giving mood attempted to donate blood at our fall blood drive. We had 33 successful donations, including 1 double red. We also are making great strides in our fundraising endeavors. The class of 2024 has just finished collecting order forms for their Fisher's Popcorn holiday sale, and the senior class has made centerpieces, swags, and wreaths to sell to staff. We also have set a date for our biggest fundraiser, our annual bingo, which will be held on St. Patrick's Day at the Moose Lodge. The SGA will be holding a winter holiday party on Thursday to celebrate the hard work our student representatives and SGA advisors have put into hosting successful Y High events. Another celebration of all of Y High's hardworking students was held on December 9th. Our PBIS quarterly incentive was held for 157 qualifying students to enjoy free time and sweet treats. On Thursday, we will also be holding our Advanced Academic Achievement Awards, where over 200 students were invited to recognize their academic excellence and enrollment in advanced classes. Mrs. Rebecca Matthews has been named as the Y High Teacher of the Year semifinalist. Mrs. Matthews is our AP and Freshman Honors Bio teacher, Summer Chemistry teacher, and the SGA, NHS, GSA, and Cool Eats advisor. We are extremely grateful for all the hard work she puts into Y High, and we wish her good luck as she now competes for the Wicomico County Teacher of the Year. Thank you for listening, happy holidays, and I look forward to the following meeting next year.
Thank you, Ava. Mardella High School, Zoe DePasqua and Catherine Beecham. Do we see either one of those
Did not
individuals?
see either of them on Mr. Malone.
Okay, can we go back to Parkside High School, Cassidy Cashman?
Cassidy, unmute yourself. There you go. Yeah, I'm not sure what's happening for Cassidy. She's unmuting herself, but we still can't hear you, Cassidy.
Okay. We can't hear her. Okay. Well, I'm sure it was a good report, Cassidy. I'm sorry we can't hear you. But thank you for attending and trying to get on the Zoom with us. So 3.7, public
Mr.
comment.
Malone,
Yes, sir.
John, this is a quick question. Parkside and Bennett won their their state championship, right?
That's correct, in boys soccer.
Okay, and isn't that kind of a historic event for Wicomico County?
It is, and I'm going to talk about it a little under my board report, but for all the research that anyone can do or find, there's never been a county that's had 2 state champions in the same sport the same time who were both undefeated, because they both had a couple of ties, but they were undefeated. So Mr. Hall, who's the AD at Parkside, has done some research, and he's taught for 50 plus years. He can't find anybody else that's ever done that. And so to your point, it's very historic.
And since it is so historic, didn't he say that he was attempting fundraisers to buy their own rings? And I was wondering if there's something that perhaps the Dr. Hanlon could help us out with, or we could jump in as board members and help them out with.
Yeah,
Yeah, James, go
I'm
ahead.
Sorry, I'm happy to do that, Mr. Palmer. I know there's a couple of community organizations that are also working hard on that. But I'll touch base to see where they're lacking, and certainly we can do that. I will also let you know that we plan to recognize the soccer teams at our January board meeting when we're in person. So,
And present a ring.
They might not have the rings yet.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Mr. Malone,
Yes.
would there be a way that we could get an email update from the schools who were having technology issues today, just so we know what they were going to present?
Certainly. We can ask Cassidy and Zoe and Catherine if they just send an email to Andrea or me, and then I'll distribute it. That's a good suggestion. If they don't
Okay,
mind doing
thank
that, be
you.
great.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, 3.7 public comments. We have 2 today. We have Miss Joan Smith first up, and then Mr. Ed Lee. So Miss Joan Smith, the floor is yours. And as you know, public comments we try to limit it to 3 minutes. And so the floor is yours.
Thank you. Working through the pandemic has been a transformative experience that has increased the shortage of educators. The pandemic prompted each of us to recalculate and reevaluate our values and our priorities. Wicomico County Public Schools engaged in a multi-pronged approach of mitigation strategies to limit the spread of coronavirus. But with so many students shoulder to shoulder in hallways and classrooms, workers still worry. Many choose family over the uncertainty of safety in our buildings, COVID and otherwise, and leave the profession. Nationally, business is booming. CEOs' pay in 2020 grew 19% over the previous year, according to the Economic Policy Institute. Business profits rise, employers put wages and benefits on hold. In our schools, educators and staff are leaving. They leave because of concerns for personal safety and the health of loved ones. They leave because of the incredible beyond the maintenance of effort workload. They leave because the cost of living skyrockets while the value of paychecks plummets. The value of teachers isn't bought and sold on Wall Street. Yet we have seen that school workers, educators, and public education are invaluable to a thriving economy. The Economic Policy Institute has said that teachers earned 11.1% less than workers with comparable education and experience. The cost of living soars, teachers' pay doesn't keep up. The issue is not limited to teachers. In fact, all workers critical to a well-functioning education system are also underpaid. All labor has dignity, and that dignity must be reflected in pay. Federal and state funding, ARP, ESSER, and the blueprint for Maryland's future will help schools to heal and to properly fund, to recruit, and to retain highly qualified educators and staff. With help from the federal and state legislature, Wicomico County Public Schools must seize the opportunity to create a budget that properly pays the workforce in our schools. Compared to other jobs requiring similar level of education and training, teachers make much less money. After a pandemic school year that heightened stress and increased responsibilities, the love of work that keeps so many teachers and staff in the classroom, despite the financial trade-offs, is
30
eroding.
seconds.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is time. The Wicomico County Council has said on numerous occasions that they fund what you ask. Now is the time to set the stage for success in recruiting and retaining highly qualified educators and workers in our schools. Our students deserve nothing less. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. Our next public comment will come from Mr. Ed Lee. Mr. Lee, the floor is yours, and there'll be 3 minutes. Is Mr. Lee with us?
He is with us. We're asking him to unmute.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. First, let me acknowledge Dr. Hanlon in her retirement. I have had the opportunity and the pleasure to work with Dr. Hanlon over many years, also as a substitute teacher in her system. And I just think you've done an exemplary job. I think you've done so much good for this county, and I acknowledge that. I have reviewed Dr. Hanlon's letter of December the 14th and the 6 steps that she outlined for reaching a decision regarding our recommendation to make financial literacy a requirement K-12 for graduation in Wicomico County Public Schools. To the chairperson, in our conversation with Dr. Hanlon, she said that she would make her recommendation to the board sometime during the beginning of the year. Given Dr. Hanlon's retirement announcement, the question arises, is that timeline still a valid projection? If it is, then we will continue to follow Dr. Hanlon's instructions as outlined in her letter of October 14th, 2021. If not, we ask you, members of the Board of Education, to inform us in writing the procedure that you will employ to continue the process that will allow the Board of Education to make a decision regarding our request. Thank you so very much. I wish you all the best in the coming, happy new year and the best in the coming year.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. And Dr. Hanlon was nodding that the procedure will continue.
Beg pardon?
Dr. Hanlon was nodding yes, that the procedure under her will continue.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Dr.
Okay.
Hanlon.
Okay, that concludes public comments. So 3.8, we go to Dr. Hanlon for superintendent's report.
Good afternoon, Mr. Malone, Mr. Murray, and members of the board and community who are with us today. I have a few items for you. First, I wanted to start with just acknowledging our state champs, as has been said already, a really, really historic occurrence that has gone on with both Parkside and James M. Bennett winning their division state championships, and we're so proud of them and look forward to recognizing them at our January board meeting when we are in person. I also want to talk just a moment to kind of reiterate what many have heard about in happenings at the state board level in terms of the mask mandate, but I just want to go through what we're paying attention to at this point and to let the community know that we are indeed following the metrics. So just to remind everyone, the state emergency regulation was imposed and then supported by the Legislative Review Committee in September, and it is set to expire at the end of February 22nd. At the December meeting of the state board, the board supported new proposed regulations recommended by State Superintendent Chaudhary that would repeal and replace that emergency regulation. The newly proposed regulation, again, would have to go in front of the AELR, the Legislative Review Group, but those regulations would extend the protection that masks provide against COVID-19 by extending the mandated use of face coverings in schools beyond February 25th as needed. So as needed refers to 3 proposed, what they are calling off-ramps, that would be available to boards of education or superintendents to end face coverings based upon certain metrics tied to vaccination status or county transmission rates. So those off-ramps include 3 areas. First, if at least 80% of the county population where the schools are located is fully vaccinated, as reported by the Maryland Department of Health, a county board may lift the face covering requirements by passing a motion or a resolution in a public meeting. Or if an individual school verifies with the superintendent that 80% of the school staff or students have been fully vaccinated, the local superintendent may lift the face covering requirement for that school. Or if we cannot hit the 80% mark in either of those areas, if the county transmission rate has been at moderate or low for 14 consecutive days, as reported by the CDC, the local superintendent may lift the face coverings in schools requirement. And then conversely, if that transmission rate moves back up to substantial or high for 14 consecutive days, as reported by the CDC, the local superintendent is required to reinstate the face covering requirement. So that was supported by the state board at their December board meeting. What are the next steps? The next steps are that the General Assembly's Administrative, Executive, and Legislative Review Committee, the AELR, will hold a hearing, or they'll simply approve the regulation. Once they act, that regulation will be published for 30 days, and it will then go back to the state board for final approval. And it's my understanding that they're trying to make this happen prior to the original emergency regulation expiring at the end of February. So we're keeping a very close eye on that process. In the meanwhile, we are continuing to track the data. Anyone can go on our website under COVID-19 information or coronavirus information and look. We are tied directly to the tracker by the CDC. Today, just for those of you who are wondering how we're doing with the 80% in the community, our community total population has a vaccination rate of about 51.5%. We're going to continue to look at how we may be able to track student and staff vaccines. And our transmission rate, the good news is that our transmission rate just within the last few days has gone down from high to substantial. So we're still not where we need to be for those 14 consecutive days if the regulation passes the AELR and back to the state board, but we're moving in the right direction, and we hope we continue to do that, to move in the right direction. So again, nothing for us to do at this point. We're just keeping an eye on the metrics. So more to come on that after the AELR meets. My next item is one that makes me very, very proud, and that is to recognize several of our employees. And I believe that they are with us today, and I'm very happy that they are with us today. So I will tell you a little bit about this, an occurrence that was in our schools in late November, and we do have permission by this employee to share specific information publicly. So on Monday, November the 29th, one of our own, Mr. Saunders Banks, custodian at Mardella Middle and High School, was working in the cafeteria when he suffered what we now know to be a heart attack and lost consciousness. Upon receiving the call, Lisa Armstrong, guidance counselor, and Miracle Powell, substitute nurse, immediately reported to the cafeteria and told the office to call 911. Mr. Banks was unconscious and at that point was not breathing. Lisa and Miracle acted quickly by using the AED. They started compressions and CPR. And then once they had started those compressions and CPR, Cameron Ball, Dean of Students, arrived to relieve these two ladies and took over with chest compressions until the ambulance arrived. By the time the EMS arrived, Mr. Banks was breathing again, but it was very labored breathing. He was admitted, taken to the emergency room, and then admitted to intensive care. And we were all tremendously relieved when we got word that Saunders was moved to a regular room later that week. The doctor at the hospital has said that Mr. Banks would not be alive today had it not been for the quick action of these three individuals. Principal Hastings has described this event as extremely traumatic for everyone involved. I'm looking at some of them as they're being viewed on the screen, and I can see the emotion in their faces still. Mrs. Hastings is, and we all are beyond thankful for the swift and caring action of these heroes who saved the life of our valued employee and dear friend and colleague to everyone at Mardella Middle and High School. It is because of these heroic actions that I'm very pleased to award these individuals, Lisa Armstrong, Miracle Powell, and Cameron Ball, with the Golden Apple Award. And you will, I wish that we were in person so that I could shake your hands and pin these pins on you in person. But I will be doing that. I will come to you and present these to you. Congratulations and thank you so much to the three of you. I am so pleased to share with everyone that thanks to these three individuals who we've seen on our screen, Saunders Banks is with us this evening. So congratulations to all of you. And Saunders, we are so happy that you're with us.
Yes, we are.
You are doing well.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Saunders, we hope for your continued good health. Have a restful holiday. As I know you're still recovering, but we're so anxious for you to continue to recover and return to us when you can. So thank you so much. And thank you to the three of you. And I look forward to seeing and congratulating you in person.
Thank you three, Mr. Ball, Ms. Armstrong, and Ms. Powell so much. I couldn't add anything to what Dr. Hanlon said, except that you three are heroes. That's just that simple. You are true heroes for what you did, the call to action, and you answered the call. And God bless all three of you for what you did for Mr. Bush. Thank you.
All right, so we'll move from that very positive item to our Extra Mile Awards. Mr. Butler.
So we're going to do our Extra Mile Awards. Always happy to do this every single month. And this month we have three amazing individuals who've just been doing great things in our school system. The first one is Angela Blake. Bob, can we put the spotlight on Angela for a second? Angela is a social worker at Choices. She's the only social worker in that building. Hello, Angela. Glad you could join us. She maintains 75 to 80% of all mental health concerns and records at Choices. She does all the new intakes with new families and students. Now, along with her duties as social worker, she's spending time in the classroom, attending all team meetings, offering any assistance she can. She also plans and schedules the after-school tutoring in art and sports club activities at Choices. Now, recently, she secured over $22,000 in grants to help fund these programs, including parent night, physical education equipment, reading materials, and podcasts that help benefit our students, classrooms, in that Choices school building. Angela works collaboratively with Mr. Larry Aldridge as well to help divert any mental health crisis with students. And Angela, we want to thank you and congratulate you on being an Extra Mile Award winner. You're going to get an Extra Mile certificate and also a plaque. And we're going to get those to you tomorrow. I promise I will drop them by. But we want to say thank you very much for being an Extra Mile Award winner for the month of November.
Thank you so much. It was very thoughtful.
You are so welcome. And I know Principal Courtney Lewis says, look, this lady certainly deserves it. And we're just glad to recognize you. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
All you do for our students, as well as for the city of Salisbury.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Congratulations.
Okay, our next Extra Mile Award winner is an account associate at Fruitland Intermediate. He is Mr. David Bush. Mr. Bush is accompanied on this Zoom by Principal John Shearer from Fruitland Intermediate. Welcome, Mr. Bush. He's a school bookkeeper again. Now, while the food service manager was out on bereavement leave for 4 days in November, Mr. Bush came to the cafeteria every single day to help Miss Ida and also help Miss Doris. He pitched in, whether it was putting away freight, wiping down tables, doing tally sheets, or inputting meal counts in the computer. Now, he did this all while completing his own duties as the school bookkeeper. And of course, he is certainly a true definition of a person that went above and beyond during the month of November. So, Mr. Bush, we want to thank you very much for being an Extra Mile Award winner in November. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We really appreciate it. And by the way, you also will be getting a plaque and a certificate from us, and I'll be dropping those by tomorrow. And finally, our third Extra Mile Award winner is Katie Serenyi, math teacher at Salisbury Middle School. She's accompanied on this call, I think, by Mr. Terrence Dunn. And Katie always goes above and beyond for not only her students, but also for the students in 7th grade at Salisbury Middle School. She not only teaches 7th grade math, but is the chair for the PBIS program. She also devotes more time and support than anyone else to ensure our students and teachers are provided with opportunities where they can be successful, not only inside, but also outside the classroom as well. For the 7th grade floor specifically, Katie has created Google Slides to scaffold and point out the main concepts of our junior achievement lessons. She ensured the success of the junior achievement lessons for each teacher in every content area, working with until 10 p.m., editing the slides to ensure all teachers were prepared with the 3 different lessons every single day. Now, in addition, Katie has been working after hours on weekends to secure donations for the students' PBIS holiday shop. So we definitely feel that she deserves an award as an Extra Mile Award winner for the month of November. So Katie, I know Terrence, Principal Dunn's on here as well. And we just want to say thank you very much for all you do. And if you want to say a few words, you're welcome to do so.
No, I just feel very honored. I think Extra Mile is just something I do without even thinking about it, just because it's worth it for our teachers, it's worth it for our students, and it's worth it for our community. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much. And again, I'll be stopping by Salisbury Middle tomorrow with your certificate and plaque as well. So Dr. Hamlin, that is all I have.
Just echo Paul's sentiments to all 3 of you. Thank you for all you do. I know that you're just representative of many, many, many hardworking staff members, but you've gone the extra mile, and we're really pleased to acknowledge that with the board. Again, I'm sorry we couldn't do it in person, but hopefully we'll be back to that soon. So thank you very much. And then the last item that I have, Mr. Malone, is our grants report from Dr. Briggs.
Thank you, Dr. Hanlon. First, I just want to say thank you to Katie and all of our 7th grade teachers who've been providing such great financial literacy lessons this entire week and last week to all of our 7th graders throughout the entire county. So thank you, Katie, and all of our 7th grade teachers. In regards to the grant report, I'm pleased to be able to share some information from our November report. This past month, we received funding from 15 grants totaling approximately $750,000. 11 of the grants were from the Community Foundation of the Eastern Shore, which were announced at an event hosted by the foundation on November 10th. These funds will be used in a variety of ways to directly support students in our schools. And Ms. Blake was one of the winners of those 11. 2 other grants were from MSDE, one to provide assistance in helping students dealing with trauma and behavioral health issues, and one to help with the cost of AP and SAT fees for our students. Another grant was from the Maryland Center for School Safety to increase the number of radios and to provide visibility clothing for crossing guard staff. And the final grant in November was from the Wicomico County Health Department to increase our school health services and to help expand our efforts in dealing with COVID-19. Additionally, we submitted applications for another 9 grants, and I look forward to updating everyone on their status at an upcoming meeting.
That concludes my report, Mr. Malone.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Briggs, and once again, congratulations to our Extra Mile winners. Very, very nice accomplishments. Thank you for what you do. 4.1 is approval of open session minutes from our last meeting, which was November 9th, 2021. I'll entertain a motion to approve those at this time. The motions are a second.
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 All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. All right, consent items are 5.1 to 5.10. 5.11 reads, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, is there a motion to approve the consent items?
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
And then there may be questions or comments on this. So are there any questions about the consent items? Okay, hearing none. I assume you're ready to vote on the consent items. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, carried. All right, for information and discussion. 6.1, the first reading of core instructional resource for secondary English/language arts. So at the November meeting of Curriculum Council, a new anthology series for secondary English/language arts classes was presented. McGraw-Hill's Study Sync is a hybrid online and print platform that ensures that all students will have access to the materials at home or at school and home. Curriculum Council gave its support to the program of the recommendation that it move forward to the board for consideration and adoption. Upon the recommendation of the superintendent, is there a motion to approve the first reading of core instructional resource for secondary English/language arts?
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
As a member of the
Second.
committee, I approve, yes.
Okay, a motion and a second. So Paige, any questions? But Paige McSorley is with us, I assume, to discuss this. So the floor is yours.
Good afternoon, Chairman Malone, Vice Chair Murray, members of the board. This is Brian Rager, Director of Curriculum, Instructional Resources, Professional Development. I'm masked because I'm joined here in my office with Ms. McSorley in case there are questions for her. We are excited to bring this resource to replace books that are well over 10 years old, anthology books for all of our ELA classes from grades 6 to 12. The Study Sync program was reviewed by a team of 19 teachers, as well as a number of parents and students. Very well reviewed, and we're excited at the prospect of having this new resource in place for the start of the second semester in February, pending board approval, and we'll stand for any questions.
Dr. Ragar?
Yes.
Okay, this is Mrs. Suthowski. I spent about 2.5 hours and thank both of you for all the kindnesses that you gave me, sitting and looking at this curriculum. I felt like I was back in my other life going through curriculum for secondary students. I really like this curriculum. I have a couple of questions about it, and I think I did give these questions to you. The first one is about the blast. And I understand why we do this, because it's a beginning organization of the class. And but the blasts that are given each day have absolutely nothing to do with the a piece of literature that is to be studied. And as I went through the curriculum, I found that there were blasts of this organizational material for each of these pieces of literature, and there were several of them. And I really would hope that you would recommend that the teachers use the blast with the stories rather than using these blasts that come through that have absolutely nothing to do with what is being taught. With that said, I went through these, and my creative juices were really going, because I could picture myself teaching some of this material. And that is something else that I have problems with. we had this provision, caveat, loophole, you can call it several things, where teachers can bring in any material they want as long as they teach it in small groups. As I was going through this curriculum, I can't see why any teacher would want to bring in anything else. To me, and I've been told the reason this is here is for creativity. Well, with 31 years experience with English language arts, to me, creativity is how you teach, not what you teach. I can't believe that any teacher would need to bring in anything else for any of this material. And I want to cite this one unit on American literature called We the People. They have the Scarlet Letter, the Crucible, the Declaration of Independence, the letters to John Adams, the Iroquois Nation of the Plymouth Plantation, and the Blast were very, very good. And that is just one example. I can't see why any teacher would need to bring in anything else for creativity. And every unit is like this. It's very expensive. I understand it's $82.50 per student. And, but I think it's excellent. And I'm looking forward for the hardbound copy so I can read some of the pieces that are included. I think you did a very good job.
Thank you. We appreciate that. And I will just say that the daily blast, just for the information of board members, it's you typically use as a warm up. The textbook company does produce new ones every day that they make available to teachers. The textbook company has no idea what book or what resource teachers across the country who are using this are using any one day. So the ones that come up on any one day may not match exactly what they're teaching. So exactly what Mrs. Sadowski has said, we will point them to the direction of those that are written into the curriculum, into the resources they're using on those days, so that it's something that makes sense. And in terms of the content, yes, definitely agree. There's a very wide range of content in each unit. We're very pleased to provide all those resources for our teachers. And the cost, as you said, certainly it's not inexpensive when you're adopting resources for 7 grades at a time. The $85, $84 per student, though, is significantly less expensive than what we see for a lot of other hardbound print textbooks. And part of that is because we're buying such a volume, getting all 7 grades at one time. And we are using federal funds from ESSER to support this purchase. So thank you for your support.
Any other questions or comments for Dr. Rager? All right, I assume you're ready to vote on the motion for the first reading of this. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Any opposed? Okay, carried. 6.2. At the November meeting of Curriculum Council, Science Supervisor Himalatha Baksaran presented the novel Creek Critters for consideration for use as a read aloud book in kindergarten to support our implementation of the COMAR mandated environmental literacy program. The novel received unanimous support from the council with a recommendation that move forward to the board for consideration and approval. Upon the recommendation of the superintendent, is there a motion to approve the novel Creek Critters for first reading?
I move to approve.
Okay, motion and a second in there.
Yes.
Okay,
Second.
so I think Ms. Himalatha is on, right? Or is
Ms.
Brian Rager?
Mascaron is in India visiting family at this time, so I'm going to take care of this.
Good for her.
Yes, long time coming for her. Very pleased to be bring this book to for you. As you know, Maryland has environmental literacy requirements for students in elementary, middle, and high school. Wicomico is really ahead of the curve in beginning to implement a kindergarten environmental experience that meets those requirements. We did that a couple of years ago under the direction of our elementary science resource teacher, Mrs. Jerry Weersberg, working in concert with the Ward Museum, began what they called the kindergarten outdoor experiences at the Ward Museum. And then when Ms. Bascaron came on as science supervisor, they were looking for ways to enrich that. and came across this book that's written by a Maryland author. She's actually been into our schools, and in the conversation that they've had with her while working on bringing in this kindergarten book, she's indicated that she would certainly be willing to come back and do read alouds with our students. If you read the comments from the reviews, parents, students, and some university folks, very positive, liked the book. The only concerns were the level that was written at, and this I would note this is going to be used as a read aloud with lots of opportunities for the teachers to provide additional explanation and context for the students. You'll see that mentioned as suggestions, and we are working to provide those for the teachers upon the adoption of the book.
Any questions or comments for Dr. Rager?
I have the book here in my hand right now. And when I read it, my only comment was the vocabulary. And it's very advanced, but I think with the suitable introduction, it can be used in kindergarten. But it's a very sophisticated book.
Thank you, Miss Ann. Any other questions or comments? All right.
Miss Ann?
Go ahead.
Miss Ann, I would like to get that book from you this week, as I was not able to attend the Curriculum Council meeting.
Okay, I'll see you Thursday at Curriculum Council. I can give it to you then.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I assume you're ready to vote on the motion to approve for the first reading of the Creek Critters. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, carried. 6.3, at the November meeting of the Curriculum Council, a new curriculum guide for elementary visual arts was presented. The council unanimously recommended that the guide move forward to the Board of Education for approval. Upon the recommendation of the superintendent, is there a motion to approve the elementary visual arts curriculum for first reading?
So moved.
Is there a
Second.
second? And is Dr. Bear on the line?
Yes, good afternoon, Chairman Malone, Dr. Hanlon, board members. I'm pleased to bring you the visual arts elementary curriculum that has been worked on since 2019. We used some time during the COVID closure for our teachers to work on this curriculum and pilot it a little bit this year. We're pleased to bring it to you. The curriculum is an update for the standards and artistic processes that was from the Maryland Fine Arts Standards adopted in 2016. Our last curriculum guide for elementary visual arts was about 2000. So it is time to update these curriculum. It includes units that are organized around the artistic elements, and we have the units as well as lessons and activities. The activities are suggested for the teachers because different art teachers have different specialties, and they may like to teach their students in a different way. If you take the element of line, there may be different activities that they would do with the students. And we do have it organized into 2 different grade bands, pre-K through 2, and then 3 through 5. I hope that you enjoy looking through that. I will stand for any questions.
Any questions for Dr. Bear?
I wish I had had something like this when I went through school. It's very, very good. I enjoyed going through it. Yes.
All right, I assume you're ready to vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, we're carried. 6.4. Per the superintendent's recommendation, is there a motion to accept the proposal on the attached Exhibit 1 from the firm of Becker Morgan Group, Inc. for services related to the design and engineering of the Wicomico High HVAC upgrade, and to authorize the issuance of a contract consistent with the terms as set forth in the proposal? The final contract shall be in a form acceptable to the superintendent and the board's legal counsel, and shall include all the final contract documents, general conditions, and supplementary conditions of the contract. Request is also made to authorize the issuance of a notice to proceed to begin work on the project and to accept the additional services as noted herein. Scope of services, basic design services, $492,310. Additional services, $16,400, total $508,710. Is there a motion?
So moved.
And I hear a second in there. So is Kayla Campbell the presenter or Lisa Ashby, or maybe both?
It's Kayla Campbell, Facilities Planner. Good afternoon, Superintendent Dr. Hanlon, Chair Malone, and Vice Chair Murray, and the board. I wanted to walk you through the procedures the Planning and Construction Department went through to get to this point. We started September 9th when we published a request for qualifications, or RFQ, to solicit architecture engineering firms. The notice was published on eMaryland Marketplace as well as WCBOE's website. We had 24 firms request the RFQ package. Responses were due September 24th, and we had 7 firms submit. An AE qualifications committee was formed with 5 representatives. The committee felt it was in the best interest of the board to shortlist all 5 firms and subsequently invite all to submit a request for proposal, or RFP, on October 7th. A more robust AE selection committee was formed with a cross-section of 7 individuals representing facilities, instruction, administration, as well as 1 school building commission representative to evaluate and rank the RFPs and participate in interviews. Of the 5 firms invited, all firms submitted RFP packages due November 8th. Interviews were conducted on November 16th. The superintendent and CFOO authorized staff to enter into negotiations with the top-ranked firm. The final scope and fee proposal were reviewed with the superintendent and CFOO and approved to bring the design fee forward to the board this afternoon. Becker Morgan Group is excited to begin their work, and we are excited to get this project kicked off. I stand for questions.
Ms. Campbell, I have one quick question. Could you give us a quick overview as to the scope of the entire project at Y-High?
It is the complete HVAC replacement at Y-High. It will be VRF is the system that will be implemented throughout the buildings.
That'll be throughout the entire building?
All except for, I believe it's the auditorium and the gymnasium.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions for Kayla?
I have
Alright,
one question.
Okay.
Does the replacement of this also include all of the features that we have put in place during the COVID pandemic?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions? All right, I assume you're ready to vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, carried. 6.5 is personnel matters, which is for information. So we're at 7.1, which is board members' reports. And since we're not all sitting in a row, it's kind of probably won't, it's probably a random selection here. So first board member report, and I hope he's ready, is Mr. Brown.
I'm ready. Good afternoon, everyone. On November the 10th, I had the opportunity of attending the Community Foundation of the Eastern Shore Fall Educational Grants Awards Program. And actually, it was not like $90,224 was given out to schools in Wicomico, Worcester, and Somerset County. And I'd like to report that Wicomico County received over $45,000 of that money. We had 9 schools that received a grant, and they included Choices, Willards, Mardella Middle and High School, Fruitland Intermediate, Bennett Middle, Northwestern, Salisbury Middle, Fruitland Primary, and Parkside High School. Parkside High School and Willards each received 2 grant awards, so they got $10,000 for each one of those schools. And it just goes to show that our staff, our teachers there do go outside of the box and doing some things to help implement and assets to their teaching that they already have in terms of the curriculum. These are things that they can purchase or buy to kind of add to whatever subject matter they're teaching. Secondly, I'd like to, again, like everyone else, congratulate James M. Bennett boys soccer team for winning the 3A championship, as well as Parkside High School. It is indeed an honor for both those schools and an honor for the county. And both schools were recognized with a proclamation by the Wicomico County Council, in which all of them were in attendance and did receive that. This morning, I had the opportunity to go to Northwestern Elementary School and Westside Intermediate School to give out dictionaries to the 3rd and 4th graders. We're giving them out this year to both 3rd and 4th graders because last year, because of the pandemic, we were not able to give those out. I do want folks to know that we, members of the Rotary Clubs, is not going to the schools. We deliver them to the schools, and they're going to be distributed by the administration so that you don't have outside people coming into the schools. I will be going to delivering them to Delmar and North Salisbury tomorrow morning, and Pemberton and Prince Street tomorrow afternoon, and I think that will cover all the ones that we've had in the county. I have done some earlier on, but hopefully we'd like to give those out in and around Christmas. The kids continue to look forward with those during that time. And finally, I want to say I wish everyone the very best at the holiday season. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. And I want to wish the very best to Mr. Fitzgerald with his upcoming surgery. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. We'll go next to Mr. Palmer.
Thank you, Gene. The Beaver Run School project has run real smoothly, and I think a lot of this is because of the way Miss Ashby does her projects and getting items ahead of time. But as you know, the parts and supplies that she's going to be needing for future projects are starting to become scarce in the supply chain. They're going to be hard to get with long lead times. So there's a possibility that things will not be moving quite as fast as what we would like them to be. But she does a great job, and I have big expectations. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Palmer. We'll go to Ms. Laird Lewis.
Well, thank you, Mr. Malone. First, I would like to express my congratulations to Mr. Murray for his vice chair position. He is a wonderful friend as well as a wonderful board member, and I know that he will do a phenomenal job in the vice chair seat. Secondly, I am absolutely excited to hear that there are so many schools doing and planning spring events and doing so many different activities. I'm excited to see what Parkside and what was our other school that was having connectivity issues? Mardella?
Today it was Mardella. Yeah.
Mardella. I'm excited to see the things that they're doing that are correlating with some of the other schools. Was excited to hear the results with the blood drive. I do love to support them and show the students that it is definitely okay to do that and give the teachers support. Congratulations again to all of the Teacher of the Year recipients. That was a wonderful event to attend. I feel that it was something different. It was a morale booster, and we wanted to be able to highlight them. And I feel that the event at the Fountains was absolutely successful, and I feel that we did that. So kudos to the group who was in charge of the planning. I know Miss Laura Jones had a lot to do with that, and she did a fantastic job. have just a couple other things. I know, like many other board members, we have attended parades and concerts and sporting events and soccer games and teacher of the year events and school events. And I'm just so glad that we are able to be back out in the community, doing these things, showing our support. And I am excited for many things to come in the future. And as many of you know, you've probably received them in the mail. I am a huge Christmas card fan. So the board members completely understand that. So to see the students' artwork for the Christmas cards this year, they were absolutely beautiful. You did a fantastic job. So the art program is doing wonderful things. Thank you, Dr. Bear, for the things that you're doing with the visual arts program and the different curriculums that you are putting into place. And everyone have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Be happy, be safe, and looking forward to 2022.
Thank you, Ms. Laird Lewis. Ms. Suthowski?
Thank you, Mr. Malone. This has been a very active and rewarding month. I was able to attend the Boy Scout breakfast. That is always an event that I look forward to each year, and actually attended before I became a board member. The Teacher of the Year reception was a little different, and I liked it because there were 3 teachers from each school. And we had a chance to meet more teachers than we normally get to. And I enjoyed talking to the different representatives from the school. I also attended the Chamber of Commerce economic forecast. This is something else that I attended for many, many years before I became a Board of Education member. And I always like attending this program because my favorite part is the reports from the different economic directors from 5 different counties. And even though you think you're on top of things and you know what's going on, you always hear from each of these individuals 1 or 2 activities that are going on in the other counties that you really did not know about. This past Saturday, the administrators invited the board members to attend their annual Christmas breakfast meeting. This is something else I look forward to each year, and I would like to thank them for including us. I continue to attend the monthly meetings of the Curriculum Council and the Policy Committee. And I've felt ever since I got on the board that one of the main purposes of a board member is to get out in the community, attend events, and meet people, and be seen, and ask questions. And I will continue to do that. Mr. Fitzgerald, our prayers are with you, and I wish everyone a very Merry Christmas, and I'm looking forward to 2022.
Thank you, Ms. Ann. Mr. Vice Chairman Murray, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair, Mr. Malone. I'd like to start out, and I'll try not to be repetitive, but the historical point here in our boys soccer teams at Parkside and Bennett deserves a great big recognition to all of them and the team and all the coaches. And I can't say enough. I'm so proud of them, as well as all of us are. Also, our extra mile winners every year, every meeting, I look forward to that as well. And an extra thanks to our heroes at the Mardella Middle School and High School for what they helped out. They could have been a horrible catastrophe at some point. I thank you. Also, the Teacher of the Year event I attended. It was always a grand event, special night, recognizing our teachers and all the work that they did. I will have to say one thing there, that one of the teachers that was nominated was my PE teacher and coach when I was in middle school. And after I sat down, I thought, whoa, what's wrong with this picture? This man's still going, and I'm retired after 35. So it makes you stop and think a little bit. But I do thank everyone, and I am looking forward and working with all the students and staff and parents, and of course, all the board members as your vice chair again. And I thank you, Ms. Laird, for your comment. I appreciate that. Also, I wanted to wish everyone a very Merry Christmas. To all students, staff, and parents, enjoy the holiday break. I encourage everyone to stay safe, and all of us working together as a team in 2022 to help all of our students achieve their best. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Murray. So like Ms. Suthowski said, the last 30 days were very busy. Try to hit some of the items that others didn't talk about. I attended the chamber after hours event at the mayor's office on November the 10th. Was pretty well attended. It's a good networking event with other members of the community. It's good to interact with them and hear their thoughts on education and government, etc. I represented the board on the legislative committee for MABE, and I did that by Zoom in November. That's a good committee. You get a lot of updates on what's going on in Annapolis. Attended along with Dr. Hanlon, and I believe Mr. Brown was there, and Vice Chairman Murray, which was I call it the retired educational workers, because it includes all the different workers, and that's always a great it's a great lunch. And I ran into, like Mr. Murray, run into teachers that we once had or teachers that my children had, and hear some great stories from them that I didn't know. I attended briefly the Teacher of the Year event because that was also the same night as my CEO at First Shore Federal's retirement party, Marty Neat. And so I tried to make both events, and I made a little bit of it, but I love the format of the Teacher of the Year event now, where we recognize all the quarterfinalists like that, and then narrow it down to the semifinalists. The more recognition for these teachers and what they do, the better. I attended the economic event at SU, like Ms. Suthowski said. I know Mr. Palmer was there. I was there. It's always a good event because you do pick up information that you're not, necessarily aware of. I attended the United Way Ball along with my wife, and Dr. Briggs and Mrs. Briggs were there. That's a great event for a great organization. It raises a lot of money. It was not held last year because of the COVID-19. This year was a little different. It was more spread out, but it was a great event. It's a great networking event once again. And last but not least, I have to certainly touch on the accomplishments of the soccer team. Certainly my colleagues on the board and others have heard me speak ad nauseum about the game of soccer. I referee it. I refereed all of these young men at some point in their life, because I've been doing the Crown Sports Center for 10 years, and I knew most of those young men. Just a great accomplishment. It's historic. And yesterday, the Greater Salisbury Committee, which is comprised of the CEOs of businesses in Wicomico County, recognized the coaches. And Mr. Mike Dunn, who's the executive director, Dr. Hanlon was there, and I was there. What was amazing to me is I didn't expect anything more than, hey, these are the coaches, congratulations, and you get a free lunch. But they set them up there like a panel discussion, and Mike Dunn had a series of questions, had slides, had a grandfather of one of the players who kicked one of the deciding penalty kicks in the Bennett game, and he became very emotional, which I don't blame him a bit. I've been there. His father was there, the young player's father. So I told Mike yesterday in an email, it was wonderful to get that kind of recognition for a historic accomplishment, and it really was. But what I would add, and what I said at Greater Salisbury, was as much as Coach Andy Hall from Parkside, Coach Blair Osborne, Coach Zach Osborne from Parkside, and then Coach Gabe Kane from Bennett, all teachers, which doesn't happen with all our sports now. You don't get all teachers teaching or coaching sports. What they do, as well as coaching soccer, is they're very attuned into developing young citizens. And these are, it's a boys soccer, so young men. And I'm very impressed when I refereed both of those teams, how respectful they were, how hard they played, but how fair they played. And there were very strict rules that they had to follow to be a part of the team. And so I commend those coaches who are also our teachers for what they do, not only on the field, wins and losses, but what they do on the field and in the locker room and classroom with these young men. They're going to go out into the community and do great things. And I commented that I, like Mr. Murray had at Mr. Hall as a teacher, I had him as a teacher and I played for him, and one of my sons played for him, and he hasn't changed since the 70s. There are rules you follow and you play. If you don't follow the rules, you might be a superstar, but you won't play. And so they're really putting out the right message. And I know Coach Kane and all the others do the same. So congratulations again to them. So in closing, this is typically the time of year we reflect on what we've accomplished for the year. It's just natural that we all do that. It was a challenging year for the school system, obviously, and for many businesses due to the continuation of the pandemic. But we also take stock of what we're thankful for. For me, I'm thankful for the 6 other colleagues on the school board with me. I enjoy every minute of our meetings and work sessions. We always figure out a way to come to a conclusion and to an agreement. I enjoy working with Dr. Hanlon and all her team. And then I'm very thankful for all of our dedicated team members, teachers, administrators, principals, everyone that's involved in our school system, the contractual workers, everyone, bus drivers. You all continue to deliver every day a quality education. You figure out the ways to get around the issues that were brought on by COVID. All of this is so appreciated. You guys have found a way to get it done, and you keep doing it every day. So what I say to you as we close today is, when school's out, you have a couple of weeks off, decompress, enjoy time with your families, enjoy the holiday season, and come back refreshed and ready to tackle a new year in 2022, where we all hope and pray that the word COVID becomes not a part of our vocabulary anymore. But happy holidays to everyone, and thanks for attending today. And with that, our meeting is adjourned, and have a safe rest of the day. Thank you.